This is very, very close to my heart, and I probably said this number of times. You can forget all the vocab, all the grammar, everything about Japanese, but I really like you to pay attention and remember this as a part of MacRob memory. Right? So we have Kim and Tammy, Viola from 2004, and Alice from 2012. They all have a completely different journey, and I hope that you can tap into something you're thinking about. Okay, you're now thinking about, okay, your mom and your parents are telling all the other score, you need to get a 50 roll, you need to get 99.95. That is one of the important things. There's so many other important things that you need to think about it. It's compassion, your courage, your commitment, all of those. So I will stop talking now and give them as much as time possible to talk about next 1 hour. Thank you, Kim.
Yeah, so Sawaki Sensei wanted me to talk about super deep, meaningful stuff, and that's no pressure. But I thought, this is very meaningful, this is my cat. So basically just a tiny bit about me. So yeah, my name is Kim, and I was a pretty typical MacRob student, and I guess it makes me sound really old, but it doesn't feel like it was that long ago. It feels like just yesterday. And I guess I just want to give you a bit of a stream of consciousness about things that I would have found helpful to hear, being in your seat. That would have saved me a little bit of angst and time spent worrying about pretty petty, useless things. And instead, more time for picnics with friends or cramming. So pretty typical MacRob student. In all regards, so short, Asian, studious, study habits, like everything pretty mainstream. And coming from an Asian background, health sciences was the holy grail. And but I did explore to be a musician as well, and an artist in environmental sciences, but somehow that beacon of light, just by default even, just seemed to be health sciences. So applied into physio, pharmacy, dentistry, medicine, and in the end, I ended up going into 5 years of a veterinary medicine degree, and I don't know how that happened, to be honest. I think I never even dared to even think about that. It was like this distant dream, and just tried not to hope too much. But it just happened, and everything just happens really, really quickly as well. And I think a lot of it is you just end up making decisions that are on a whim, as well as things that you think about really hard. So yeah, this is the type of stuff that I did for around 6 years. So many pairs of balls have bit the dust thanks to these scalpel wielding hands. And yeah, it was super fun, love surgery. And this is a bit of a cheap photo because it was from 4th year uni rather than real life vet. I'm very professional, mature. I wouldn't take photos of actual clients pets having surgery. So swapped the scalpel blade for a pencil, and I'm now full-time illustrating, doing super fun stuff with arty things. So it looks like that during my day. So that's the Instagram filter version, but it actually looks like that in real life. A cranky cat swiping at my hands. I've got so many scars. It looks like I harm myself, but I'm just really, it's just the cat. And yeah, illustrating for people's books and doing things that I guess I could do an all-nighter of and not really feel it. Whereas if I was pulling teeth and doing surgery all night or consulting with patients and clients, I would feel that in the end. It does take its toll. So I think just naturally I kind of went towards things that were a little bit more effortless and felt more natural. A little bit cute. Okay, so firstly, this is something that you hear a lot in many different combinations, and it's really reasonable and quite, it's good advice and it makes sense. So follow your passion, do what you love, and chase your dreams. But I have a bit of beef with it. Like, it's a little bit, it seems like a single outcome, like everyone's got this preordained thing that they're supposed to do, and that you're supposed to go out there and discover it and find it, and once you've found it, that's it. But that's not really the way life goes, and I might refer to my notes here. So I guess you're at a stage in your life where you have to make some pretty big deal decisions. So you've got to choose your subjects wisely, put in your preferences, weigh up lots of pros and cons, try and extrapolate your future self based on your current self. And there's a lot of biases, not to bring that up or anything, because there's really big decisions you've got to make. But it can be pretty alienating then when people tell you this, because it's very daunting. And how can you make plans for a whole life at the age of 16 or 17 or 18, let alone at any age? You can't plan a whole life. So I think what would help me is to kind of pivot this thinking and think more about what it is that, like, make the most educated guess that you can, and how you do that is, think about what it is that engages you, that you care about, so what your caring is rather than what your calling is, and what things can make a difference. Because in the end, whatever you're doing, I think it would matter the most if you felt relevant and that it made a difference rather than it being your finite passion. So how do you do that? How do you make the most educated guess you can? You can do things like ask your close friend if you can have a chat to her older sister on the phone about pharmacy. So I did that with Tammy. Or make those cold calls and just don't worry about being weird. Just put yourself in front of people and try and be nosy and ask them about their actual real jobs, because you just simply can't get an idea of what different vocations and potential different pathways of your life are like unless you kind of try and get a grip of what it is comparing to real people who are doing it. So just get out there, make calls. Work experience sounds really lame, but it's really handy. So even if you do 1 or 2 day visits of work experience at a cafe or a library or in a lab or with a lawyer, you don't get much of it whilst you're in high school, but the more you can get of that, the merrier. So it really does make a huge impact, those few days that you get. The other thing, this was basically me drawing something that, like, often when I was trying to make these big decisions or doing organiser, doing anything hard, I'd often stare out the window and just wish I could swap lives with the pot plant. So something a bit easier. So I've been there. You just want things to be easy, but they're not. So that's helpful. Planning versus pondering. So basically, I used to get really OCD about micromanaging my day. So this is from year 10. So a real life page out of my planner, and I don't even remember what this means, like SRAM, what is that, or NEEP, French horn, 45 minutes. I don't know if I really did jogs, but HMT, what it stands for, but 1 page of vocab. Sawaki Sensei says, doesn't matter about the vocab that you're going to remember, but at the time, it did matter. You've got to memorise some things to pass and get some marks. So this is this year, my real life diary. So May, not much has changed, I guess, in that, except that it's a lot messier and there's Hello Kitty on there. And Sawaki Sensei still makes a huge impact. Sawaki Sensei waiting for basically the date that I wanted to do this talk and ball in my court. So a lot of things don't change. But I guess more important than planning and having this type of planner is actually having a diary planner and doing some self-reflection in a diary, which sounds really cute and a little bit lame as well. But at the end, how else are you going to, you're not really going to have any better way to mirror yourself. And your diary is really good reading material for when you get old as well, or even when you're 29 and you get to read some of the angst that you had back then. So it's a really good chance to reflect on what it is you care about, get all those thoughts out of your head that you're bottling up and put them down on paper, because they really don't mean as much when you put them on paper and you get to read it and realise that they're separate from you. They're just thoughts. So, and also another thing about planning is that you've really got to be comfortable with the level of uncertainty in your life. And you can try and plan your day, your week, your uni degree, and 5-year, 10-year plans. But at the end, life throws you lemons and the economy changes, you change your mind, you meet certain people, and there's a lot of uncertainty. And it's good to, I guess, plant the seed early that you should, uncertainty is the only certain thing that's out there. So, and there's a little bit of comfort in that as well. And lastly, no pressure to do well, like you're ex-MacRob, but basically you're all putting a lot of pressure on yourselves. I know that because I was there, and it's a good thing too, because if you're going to put pressure on yourself, then you're really striving and trying hard to get as close to your limits as possible, just do your best. But just remember that positive, like with all the pressure that you're putting on yourself, also be just as kind to yourself. You've already got expectations from your parents, from your teachers, from society, and at the end of the day, don't flagellate yourselves, and make sure that you remember your good parts as well, like the fact that you still do the dishes even if you don't feel like it, or make sure you sleep well, because that's the most basic form of self-respect, and reward yourself, I guess, with every milestone, and accept compliments. So just tiny, micro, little day-to-day things. Just don't be too harsh, because most likely you are going to do really well, and a lot of that is because of the pressure you put on yourself. But just take it easy as well. And you're going to hear that a lot. So basically that's me, and I think it would be helpful for a Q&A. What do you guys want to know about? But it can be pretty awkward to suddenly ask questions, because you might really be blank in your head, or be introverted. So maybe for the next 30 seconds, just ask your BFF next to you what it is that you would want to ask. Like, what does the inside of a cat look like? What am I doing later today? Anything. Inside of a cat. Well, I would show you a picture, but basically it's squishy and shiny and there's lots of guts. Not blood. Unless you cut it. So 30 seconds to come up with questions. My favourite animal. I don't have one. It's not humans. I think this is really boring, but dogs and cats. Okay, any questions in particular? It's okay if you don't have any. Yeah?
What's the moonlighting illustrator company?
What's that?
On the page it says, can you decide this one?
Oh, yes. Yeah. So moonlighting, you guys know what moonlighting is? Yeah, it's when you, I guess it's the job you do outside of your job. So, so my day job now is freelance illustration, and just as a hobby, I'm a vet. So I've just swapped that combination. It used to be the other way around, so that's what that means.
Teresa?
What's your highest test score?
My highest what? Beep chest score. I think it was something like 6, and I was pretty proud of that. But I remember feeling like dying at 3.5, and then collapsing on the ground and trying to get past everyone to get to the water fountain at the end.
Do you have any other examples of your work? Illustration?
Yes, that's my last project there. Not really, not that I uploaded, but you can follow me on Instagram. If you have any questions, definitely email me, because I'm one of those weird people that love email, and I'm very open. So just ask anything later on, if not now. Yeah. The first job?
Or like offer to do?
So it happened kind of by word of mouth, because I've got a lot of friends who are designers. So my first job was actually, I don't know how this happened, but you know how McDonald's is rebranding themselves and trying to be more ethical than they are? So you create your own taste. So it was part of trying to convince all the restaurant managers who own little McDonald's restaurants that this was a good idea, this rebrand. So during a huge roadmap full of little people, miniature little people and little villages of the McDonald's community, and showing them that it's going to be great when they change their branch. So it was part of a bigger project with the bigger team, so not just me. But that was my first job.
One more question.
How closely are you still associated with the MacRob community, like with friends?
Oh my gosh, that's such a good question. So we don't keep in touch every day or anything, but they're definitely my high school friends are my closest friends, and I definitely encourage you to keep in touch with whoever's next to you now. Awkward, but just this high school is the only time in your life where you can make friends, where you can say, I've known these friends since high school. Because once you get to uni or you get older, those are friends like who you don't know as long for, even though they're great friends. So yeah, keep your high school friends. But I'm not in the alumni or anything. Thanks everyone.